Hello, this is Shannon Kringen, Goddess Kring. My full name is Shannon Nicole Kringen, and this is June 2nd, 2024. I got my rose anointed glasses. Let's do some there we go. So here's what my eyes look like. I haven't done a video monologue in a very long time, and I want to keep this video very simple. I want to catch you up on everything. I am a multimedia artist, and this is my YouTube channel where I'm mostly sharing this. And we're working on a documentary film about the public access TV show that I was in called Goddess Kring that I produced, directed, starred in myself. And my friends and I are trying to figure out how to make a documentary film. And yesterday, in the early 1990s, one of my jobs was dancing at the Lusty Lady many, many, many moons ago. And so yesterday, I went to this get together for people that worked there in the 90s. And it was so interesting to be with all these other women that are around my age. I'm 55. I think that the women there were anywhere from 40 to my age. And it was just a real trip being there. And honestly, I was kind of shy a little bit. And I wanted to do a random monologue about the current reality of my life, which is that I want to work on the documentary film. Yesterday, I went to the Lusty Lady alumni gathering at somebody's house. There was beautiful chickens in the backyard, and I felt um, similar to how I felt when I danced, which was my stage name was Jade, after Jade Jagger, Mick Jagger's daughter, Jade, because I'm very inspired by Mick Jagger currently to this day. I saw the Rolling Stones on May 15th, 2024 in Seattle. Quite a beautiful, inspirational show. And I named myself when I was a dancer at the Lusty Lady in Seattle. From 1991 to 1993, Jade was my stage name because I'm inspired by Mick Jagger, and Jade has a daughter, and I love the color green. So I named myself Jade for that reason. So that's just something interesting to think about. In the 90s, I loved being on stage and having, to me, it was like an acting job. I felt like being a dancer there was for me like an acting gig. I mean, it was a job that I earned money doing. And then I also got into art modeling about the same time. 1992 is when I started art modeling. And then by 93, uh, the job with the Lusty Lady ended for certain reasons. And then I mostly just focused on art modeling. And then in 1997, I was able to art model full time. And ever since about 97, I've been doing full-time freelance work, which is art modeling, standardized patient medical modeling, and now the last few years, I've incorporated dog walking, cat walking, and pet sitting into my repertoire of freelance gigs. So I have all kinds of chaos in my head. I'm on the autism spectrum. Officially, they say. Where that shows up for me is that I have certain rigidity in my thinking and repetitiveness in my thinking and OCD, and yet I can channel it into my art. So my special interest is my art, my projects. I published a book called Art, Identity, and the Sacred, about my art as a spiritual practice. That was about 12 years ago, 2012. I have a self-published poetry book called Kringonian Pizzazz, and Dave Flowers and I from Interactive Jack Records are working on an album called Kring Flowers, and we are in the process of finishing that. So yesterday when I was with the other dancers, I was feeling kind of shy, but I showed them the article, Seattle Magazine. Thank you, Brad Holden, for interviewing me for Seattle Magazine. The Performance Art of Goddess Kring is an article that is in the March-April issue of Seattle Magazine. And I'm part of Seattle History. And so we're working on a documentary film project, and we're releasing our album, hoping to get KEXP Radio in Seattle and Hollow Earth Radio Seattle and any other independent radio nonprofit stations to play our Kring Flowers music. That would be amazing. So we are writing a press release and sending it out ASAP, with copies of our CD. And we're going to also have our music on all the streaming platforms. We're signing up with a certain thing to help us get it on there. So I am somebody who is focused on that. I never got married and had kids. That's what I was going to say is sometimes I feel sad that I don't have like a normal family life, like a spouse or kids or live in a house with a partner, life partner. I never got married or had kids. I never really felt called to do that. I always have felt like I needed my own space, and I'm really obsessed with focusing on my art. I'm kind of a workaholic, but I guess mostly in a good way because my jobs, I have 4 different jobs. I have really 5 different jobs. I do my artwork, which is I do video, photography, painting, poetry, music, spoken word, blogging, vlogging. My art car is a 2010 Honda Fit that's covered in rhinestones. So for any of you, I always seem to do these videos as if somebody is coming here for the first time. So if you've already heard all of this stuff before, I'm sorry, but I'm just recapping. I'm doing this as much for myself as for the audience or whoever you are watching. I want to stay focused. My brain tends to be very chaotic, and my working memory apparently is kind of fuzzy and hazy. And now I'm going through menopause at the age of 55. And so my brain fog is even more intense. So, yeah. So this is Shannon Kringen saying hello and welcome to my video on YouTube. And I'm autistic. Woo, 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 woo. I can see why people in the 90s when I did my TV show, people thought I was like on psychedelics or something like that, but I was not, and I am not right now. I've always been able to kind of stare at like tree branches and ripples in the water and like water droplets and sort of go, wow, look at that. Wow, look at that. So I've always kind of had that kind of mind. And recent experiences have made me realize why people thought that I was on psychedelics, because my brain already kind of works that way and connects the dots in a certain way. And so I want to stay focused and on top of things, which is to continue making music with Dave Flowers from Interactive Jack Records, start making music videos. I've never done a video to my own spoken word or music where I lip sync to my own song. I have like 3 different outfits I'm going to put on, and we're going to film me in my art car driving around my Opal Moonstone Honda Fit with rhinestones all over it. And we're going to drive around, and I have like 3 different outfits. Maybe we're going to do a scene out in nature, do a scene in my art car, maybe do a daytime scene and a nighttime scene. And then we're going to splice the video footage together. And then I'm going to lip sync on camera our song. We have 10 or 11 or 12 songs at this point. If you go to Bandcamp Goddess Kring, you can hear our music, or Interactive Jack Records, Goddess Kring, Kring Flowers, Supa Flower, and Goddess Kring. So there's the Seattle Magazine article that I'm very happy about. The Everett Herald also interviewed me about my art car recently. That was several months ago. Um, and I'm going to be at the Fantagraphics Book Fair in July 2024 selling my poetry book, Kringonian Pizzazz. And so there's the poetry book, the music, and the documentary film. In continuation with all of my improv, creative life, like my art car, my freelance job as a pet sitter, dog walker, standardized patient, art model. Yesterday, I also modeled all day for a portrait class for a woman who said she used to see me on public access TV, and she didn't realize that Goddess Kring from public access was the same person as the art model that she was hiring, because I've been art modeling since 1992. So I've found I have a very good reputation as a very good, reliable, dependable art model. I hold really still. Um, I'm aesthetically pleasing to the people who draw and paint, and I love to model. I love the simplicity of sitting still and having people draw me or paint me and being in a creative art studio setting. So I really love modeling. And a lot of things really stress me out, like lots of loud noise. Although I loved seeing the Rolling Stones concert on May 15th. That was amazing. I love hearing music. I can handle loud music. I put, earplugs. The earplugs hurt my ears. So what I do is it hurts my skin to put actual earplugs in. So I take toilet paper and I just put it in my ears. And that's my way of doing earplugs is toilet paper. So I am focused. My life is very focused on my art. I've always wanted to be famous. It sounds embarrassing to say that out loud. I also have this fear that other people don't want me to succeed, which is a little bit paranoid, but I was picked on in high school by girls mostly. So there are people who are competitive and don't want other people to succeed, but there are also people who are really supportive and non-competitive and really nice and happy for other people. The Fantasy A Gets a Mattress success of that movie, I'm very inspired by those people. I'm friends with some of those people in Fantasy A. Um, and I have run into each other a few times, and we were at the Fantagraphics bookstore, involved in comic book release parties, and that's a long story. But I'm very inspired and want to cheer people on that are succeeding in that way as much as I want other people to cheer me on. I want to support people in producing their music, poetry, art, spoken word. We visited my friend in Bisbee, Arizona, who's a writer. Leah Mueller is her name, and she lives in Bisbee, Arizona. She used to live in Seattle, and we visited her. We drove all the way from Seattle to Houston. We went through Colorado. I'm still processing the trip. They reimbursed us for our gas money. The Houston Orange Art Car Parade and Festival organization. They're amazingly nice people. And going to Houston was fascinating. I'd never been to Texas before. We went through Wyoming and Colorado and Arizona and Nevada, and we did a big loop. We started in Seattle. We went through parts of Idaho, Colorado, Wyoming, Texas, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, back to Seattle, back to Washington. So Washington State. So we drove 4,600 miles, and my Honda Fit did amazing, and they reimbursed us for gas. So it's actually an affordable thing to do. We found good deals on Airbnbs, and we found ways to feed ourselves. We went to grocery stores. Like, I know how to travel in a frugal way, and we met lots of nice people, and I was a little socially overwhelmed by the whole thing, and I got sunburned. We swam in a pool, but I loved being in Houston, Texas, and I met really nice people, and I'm really happy that my art car Opal Moonstone was part of a huge, that the biggest in the United States, or maybe they say in the world, of 270 or 80 art cars at the Houston Art Car Parade, which happens every year in April. I might go again next year, I'm not sure. It's a really intense trip, and it took us like almost 18 days to do it, because we drove about 8 hours a day, like 500 miles a day. And we stayed in Colorado for a few days to visit my friends, relatives, and then we made our way to Houston. So we did it in kind of a slower way. But I took a lot of photos and videos. I still haven't really shared all of those yet. I still haven't I've been back for a month and I still haven't done that, but oh well. There's a lot on my plate. I deal with anxiety and OCD and all kinds of stuff. And I have, again, like 4 different jobs. But I want to make the documentary film. So I'm doing this video just to catch anybody up on what you want to know. Like, I'm involved in this summer from June, July, and August of 2024. My art car will be in a bunch of different art car parades and festivals. Sometimes we drive our art cars around in a parade. Other times we park our cars all day for parts of art fairs, the Fremont Summer Solstice Parade and Fair. Uh, Actually, our art cars are not in the parade. That's for bicyclists and people dancing in the streets and all of that on their floats. But our art cars will be parked all day for the Fremont Fair in Seattle. And there's a bunch of different, I have a list online somewhere. If you just Google Shannon Kring and Goddess Kring, you can find an update. You can join my Patreon if you would like to support me. You can go to Bandcamp and listen to our music and donate if you want, or listen for free or download for free. I can also make you a CD. I I can you can get my poetry book, Kringonian Pizzazz. If you just search for that online, Kringonian Pizzazz. Kringonian, Kringonian Pizzazz, Pizzazz, Kringonian Pizzazz, Kring Speak Poetry, Shannon Kringen. It's a paperback book that I produced myself, and I think it's like $10 online. You can get it from me in person or you can find it online. And I'm happy to sign copies for people. And I've been giving family and friends copies of it, giving it away as a gift. And that's really fun. And I like to spread the positive creative energy and encourage people to do their own poetry book or write their own book, whether it's a visual art book or a poetry book. So there's the documentary film. I want to follow through on doing this. I'm looking for Goddess Kring fans to interview on camera. I think I've found a couple different women and a couple different men so far. Maybe I've got about 4 people lined up, but I haven't interviewed them yet. So I want to interview Goddess Kring fans on camera. And then we're going to splice that together and make a documentary film about Goddess Kring public access television show. There's another film coming out called Channeling Yourself, which is about public access TV. And they started working on that 10 years ago, and I think they're almost done with it. So I'm in that with a bunch of other interesting public access Seattle TV people. I'm grateful for that. There is a film that was filmed about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 2012, called Typecast Dragon. It's a short film, 10 minutes long, that screened at the Seattle Film Festival in 2012. And it is typecast, My Dragon Sleeps, Monkey Moon, Coming Soon, Phases of Seeing the Gray Balloon. That's a line of one of my poems. So I've noticed that I was very shy around the other people at the gathering yesterday, and yet I'm really happy that I'm in the Seattle Magazine. I'm really excited about my poetry book and my music that I'm creating, and yet I get a little shy around social gatherings. So it's kind of like I guess I have that kind of performer personality that I feel comfortable expressing and amplifying my voice with a microphone and doing these videos and being in art car parades and festivals with my art car and doing my artwork and writing books and poetry. And I also recently reconnected with Miranda July, who has a new novel out called On All Fours. I bought a copy of it and I met with her. She remembers me. She said, I remember you, Goddess Kring, because Miranda July won the Cannes Film Festival. Was that 2005? She wrote, directed, starred, and produced a movie called Me, You, and Everyone We Know. I think that's what it's called. It's a beautiful movie. Um, she did a thing in the 90s called Big Miss Moviola, and me, Goddess Kring, Shannon Kringen, was one of they changed the name from Big Miss Moviola to Joni for Jackie, and they had video chain letter. And Goddess Kring is one of me and 9 other women sent Miranda July video clips that she spliced together and put in the Big Miss Moviola project. And we all sent her money, and then she made a video chain letter, and then she made 10 copies and mailed it to all of us in the snail mail. So that was back in the 90s. And I found out about Miranda July because I used to work at Kinko's in the U District in Seattle. From 1994 to 1997, I worked at Kinko's U District, Kinko's, and on Northeast 45th Street in Seattle. And I don't know if it was Miranda that I met or if it was somebody else Xeroxing. I think it must have been Miranda that I actually met at Kinko's. And she was Xeroxing off Big Miss Moviola, and she did a video perform or live in person video performance like Swan Tool and Love Diamond. And I saw her live in Seattle like 20 years ago at the 911 or 911 Media Arts Center and the On the Boards and at least three different, oh, and the OK Hotel in Seattle. So I saw Miranda July live performing. And so I was involved with her project and have been following her career for 20 years. And so when I saw her, she was at Town Hall recently signing copies of her book On All Fours about a woman in midlife, feeling menopause through her body and just the different challenges and the pros and cons of going through that. So it's interesting, and I'm happy that Miranda July remembers me, Goddess Kring, and it inspires me to keep going and keep trying to build my career in multimedia arts. And I make a living, you know, with I've never really tried actually to make a living through my art. I just assumed that it would be hard, and that's kind of why I did my public access TV show, because it's like if you audition, who's going to let me do Goddess Kring, you know, on network TV? That's not going to happen. So it's like I self-published Goddess Kring on public access. I self-published my book, Art, Identity, and the Sacred. I self-published Kringonian Pizzazz. Dave Flowers and I are self-publishing, although he has a record label called Interactive Jack Records. But we are basically writing, producing, recording it all ourselves. We are like a multimedia empire ourselves. Like we are, Dave is an amazing musician and he's a producer, and he's basically a musician and a producer. He's a songwriter, musician, he's a sound mixer, he's a producer. So we are able to record very professional, high quality music. If you go to Bandcamp Goddess Kring, you'll see. And if you go to Interactive Jack Records Seattle, there's a website. You can listen to me and Dave and other musicians that he represents on his label, Interactive Jack Records. Um, so I'm working on music, poetry, and a documentary film. So I just wanted to, and I'm a little overwhelmed. Like I feel like part of me can do this and part of me is afraid I won't follow through. So I'm making this video to say, hey, Shannon, make sure you follow through on making your documentary film. And it's me and a few other people working on it. We might even get even more people involved because making a documentary is a big deal. And I'm coming up with a storyboard. I want to start in present time, Goddess Kring driving around in her art car. Then maybe something stressful will happen and I'll have a like a freak out, and then there'll be a flashback to my childhood, being in my grandma's backyard, wanting to do a show, wanting to be like Shirley Temple. I remember as a 3 or 4 or 5 year old seeing Shirley Temple on television and just feeling like, yeah, I want to sing and dance and act and be fully expressive as a human and feel appreciated in that way, in a way that I don't know how to do at like a dinner party or something like that. So like yesterday, I was very shy. The people were really nice, but I was just shy and kind of afraid to brag about Seattle Magazine writing an article about me. And I was like, how silly is that? Like, if somebody I know has a poetry book and a CD and music and they're in a magazine, I want to hear about it. Like, I'd be excited and happy for my friend. So, yeah, to learn how to have self-compassion is a good thing, and to learn how to focus on what you're good at. Like, I'm not good at getting married and having kids and buying a house and doing all these conventional things. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to have a 9 to 5 job. I don't know how to, I don't want a full-time job with benefits. I don't want that. I want to do my art and I want to have a freelance life. And I struggle with um, having a very chaotic brain and being kind of just I just can't even explain it. But let's just say that certain things are hard for me in regular everyday life and just trying to keep everything organized. And yet I'm grateful for all the freedom I have in my creativity. And I work really hard. I work 6, 7 days a week. Um, it would be nice if I could learn how to take more time off to focus on my art and focus on walking in nature and relaxing and grounding. So these are just I just wanted to catch you all up on this. The meeting Miranda July and being happy that she recognizes me. There's also and remembers me as an artist. And I gave her my poetry book. I bought her book On All Fours and she signed it for me for Goddess Kring. And then I gave her my poetry book and I signed it for her and said, thank you, Miranda July, for being so inspirational, and watching your career evolve has been fascinating for the last 30 years or so, or 25 years, whatever, how many years that is, since the since 94 to 97. I learned about Miranda July in about 1995, maybe 94, 95, 96. I'm not sure what year that was, but something like that. So the Miranda July, the poetry book, the art card, the documentary film, the music videos. These are the things that we're working on right now. And I encourage you to do whatever creative thing you want to do. I thought about taking more acting classes from Freehold Theater, Seattle. I've taken acting step 1, step 2, improv, movement, solar performance. I got to work with Mariah C. Kaminsky in Solar Performance. I took a voice class from Jen Hammond from Freehold Theater. I've worked with Matt Smith, who was on Almost Live, Freehold Theater, did improv class with him. I tend to be more shy in acting classes than I am when I'm by myself with my own video camera. So I kind of want to do a documentary about how you can be sort of a shy, insecure, like person behind the curtain, and then you're like Wizard of Oz. Goddess Kring is like a Wizard of Oz, Wizard of Oz, Wizard of Oz. So I'm fascinated by all of this. So I want to just keep creating and expressing. And so I'm going to follow through on making a documentary film about Goddess Kring, public access. Channeling Yourself is an actual movie that I'm in that is being produced by a bunch of other people from Seattle Public Access. One of them lives in Los Angeles. Jeff Brunk, he lives in Los Angeles. He was known as Jeffro in Seattle in public access. He had his own public access show. So he is one of the producers of Channeling Yourself, the movie about Seattle Public Access. That's coming out soon. I don't know where they're going to release or how they're going to screen it, but I'm going to help promote it. If you Google Channeling Yourself, the movie, you'll probably find information about it. There's a video promo for it on Instagram, and I'm in it. Goddess Kring, there's a promo with me in it. I'm really happy and excited about that. And I'm happy for this. Fantasy A gets a mattress people, and I think they're working on another film called Crystal Ball is going to be their next film that they're starting to work on. I'm happy for Fantasy A and the success that they're getting. Their movies being screened like in Texas and Brooklyn and New York and in the UK and England. It was in Brighton, I think it was screened. I have friends that live near Liverpool, but they screened it in Brighton. My dad would like to see it. He lives in Florida, if the Fantasy A mattress. So I'm just rambling. I have all these things in my mind about music, poetry. I just want to keep creating and exploring. I've always wanted to be a famous performer, artist, creative person. I know that it's not really very cool or hip to say, I want to be famous, because it sounds silly. What I mean by that is I want to create something that's unique in my own style and put it out into the world and publish it and broadcast it and have hopefully a positive effect on other people. But I don't have control over that. All I have control over is producing music, poetry, visual art, my art car. I love driving around in my art car and having people wave at me and smile and ask me about my car. I love doing that. I love generating positive energy with creativity. I've just ever since I was 3 or 4 or 5 years old, I've wanted to amplify my voice literally with a microphone and project out into the world. When I was a little kid in San Diego, I used to want our car to say, I'm Shannon Kringen. I'm going to the zoo with my grandfather, and my favorite animal is the seal, and my favorite color is green. And it's like, it's embarrassing to even say that, but I feel a tremendous sense of purpose when I project out into the universe with my visual art, with my voice, with my poetry. Turning my poetry into music has been a dream come true. Working with Dave Flowers from Interactive Jack Records has been a dream come true. He goes by Superflower. He is a DJ. He dresses up in a Cookie Monster outfit and he does some DJ work out in public, DJing music. That's some of the stuff that he does. And yeah, I just, um, yeah, I hesitate to talk too much about other people because I don't want to invade their privacy, but I mostly talk about myself, but seeing, oh, and also Jesse Sykes is a local Seattle musician that I really love the music of. And Jason Webley is also a local musician that I love the music of. And I'm happy that both Jason Webley and Jesse Sykes also know about me as Goddess Crane. Jason Webley recently thanked me for being one of his bigger supporters because I think I used to put Jason Webley video clips of him performing live music, and I would spread the word online about his concerts and his shows. Right now, Jason Webley is doing a river circus. Him and his circus performer friends do beautiful original music, and they perform live on a riverboat. And I think they're in the Midwest this summer. They're going through the Midwest and the Mississippi River, I think. So that's a unique project he's working on now. Jason Webley, if you look him up, and then Jesse Sykes is performing at the Ballard Homestead, I think it's called, in June, and I have tickets for that. Me and two of my male friends are gonna go there and see Jesse Sykes live. And I love her music. I saw her open for Lucinda Williams at Woodland Park Zoo, and I didn't realize that she was a local musician. And then I said hi to her when she performed at I think it was the Tractor Tavern in Ballard, Seattle. And she's like, I know who you are. You're Goddess Kring from Public Access. And I was blown away that Jesse Sykes knew who I was, and that she said she thought it was so funny that I was so quiet and shy and reserved in person because on camera I was known for dancing around and only wearing body paint and doing performance um very personal, cathartic monologues about my personal life, as well as um very brave of me, actually. Was sometimes when I watch my old footage, because I have all my 700 videos from public access, I watch my old footage and I'm blown away by how brave I was to bare my soul in that way, and to wear only body paint and dance around and be cathartic and talk about personal things, and then also do my rhymey poetry. Bada boo, bada bing, stinging rings the kring, catch the wind song spiral drive, crack the code left and right node. I wander, tripping over grasshoppers, moon haulers, key robbers. Enchanted lands, smoky hands, rough and cracked. Take this sand and stand alone, all one. I present the present, desert the desert. Exercise, bring exorcism, cleanse, shaka. So that's some of my poetry. A recent rhyme I came up with was cancel culture vulture, virtue signal soldiers. And then there's a song I wrote called Cancel Culture Vultures, Virtue Signal Soldiers. And then there's UFO camera, about a UFO camera filled with oysters, and that's based on a dream I had. And then there's the story of Goddess Kring, and then there's a bunch of my poems that are turned into songs. And I've wanted to do this my entire life. Like growing up in San Diego, I was born in 1968, San Diego, California. I'm the only child of parents who divorced when I was 4. And I just always wanted to have my own show, but I was always shy. So I found public access. I love microphones. I love video cameras. So we're going to make a documentary film about the Goddess Kring TV show. So thank you, Jesse Sykes. Thank you, Jason Webley. Thank you, Miranda July, for doing your art. And I'm really happy that you know who I am, Goddess Kring, and you feel like I'm supportive because I love to promote and spread the word about other artists that I like, including I like to promote myself, but I also like to promote other people. I like to share that Jesse Sykes is a beautiful singer-songwriter. Um, and Jason Webley, also beautiful singer-songwriter. Miranda July is a very talented visual artist and a writer and a filmmaker and a very interesting human being. So I admire all these people, and I also admire myself for having the guts to do what I do and to not give up and to not, because sometimes when I succeed, I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed of my success sometimes. It's like I have crippled in ripples of fear, self-abandonment got me stranded again, polluted and uprooted. So that's part of one of my poems. Self-abandonment got me stranded again, polluted and uprooted. So I have like a tame the shame, suck the sugar cane kind of idea. Like I'm ashamed of, like, when I don't do well at something, I feel embarrassed, like I want to do better. But when I do well at something, I feel like I have to apologize for it. So I feel kind of like guilty or ashamed of my success. And that's kind of weird, isn't it? Like that sounds weird to say it out loud. Like I've always wanted to be famous, but I've always felt like I didn't really deserve that, or that it's embarrassing and it sounds pretentious and egotistical to say that you want to be famous. But what I mean by that is I've always wanted to create something, put it out into the world and publish it and try to have a impact on artistic culture in the world. Entertain people, inspire people, give somebody, give content to people, be a content creator that serves a purpose in the world. So when I say I want to be famous, what I mean by that is I've always wanted to communicate and connect with people in the media, through the mass media, through video, publishing, photography, live performance, you name it, record myself, um, writing, filmmaking. That's why I feel a kinship with Miranda July, because and Laurie Anderson. I love Laurie Anderson. I've seen her live only once, and I got to say hello to her. I feel a kinship with people who don't feel like they have to stick with one media. They can write, they can sing, act, dance, paint, do photography, visual and performing arts. I've always wanted to combine visual and performing arts. Even in my painting, I have taken photos and paintings and then put them in Photoshop and then make a transparent layer, a photo of me transparent with a painting of mine, on top of it as a layer. So you can take painting and photography and combine it. You can take poetry and music and combine it. I'm mostly a poet, and when I write, I listen to song lyrics. Although I don't read a lot of poetry, I listen to song lyrics very carefully. I've been listening to Tom Petty and Tori Amos and Neil Young and Bob Dylan and Beck music my entire life, and really paying attention. Well, not my entire life, but whenever I first heard them, Tom Petty when I was 11, first heard him. Been listening to song lyrics. My dad raised me with lots of folk music. My dad writes folk music, and he wrote a song called Slow Down, which we recorded. I'm singing a duet with my dad. It's called Slow Down. If you want to look it up, go to our Goddess Kring Bandcamp and you can listen to Slow Down. So, okay, that's so music, art, poetry, photography, filmmaking. I want to do all of it. And I'm inspired by Miranda July, partly because she does all of that and she doesn't have to just pick one thing. She can write, she can do film, movies, she can act, write, direct, star in, she can do live performance art, one woman show, she can write a novel, she also did some music, a spoken word and music. And I'm very much inspired by people. Yayoi Kusama, I'm inspired by her. Hunter Wasser, I'm just inspired by lots of people. Jesse Sykes, great musician. So okay, I'm rambled enough. So yeah, this is Shannon Kring and Goddess Kring in a nutshell. As of June 2nd, 2024, every day is different. Yeah. So, okay, I just wanted to catch you all up. I still have lots of photos to go through about my trip from Seattle to Houston, and I want to work on the documentary film, so I better get busy. And I'm in a bunch of art car parades and fairs this summer, and I'm going to be selling my poetry book Kringonian Pizzazz at Fantagraphics bookstore in Seattle at the book fair in July. I'll keep you updated on that. Thank you for being here. Bye from Shannon Kringen for now. Yeah. Happy summer.